You're just a burden. That's the last thing my father shouted before throwing my suitcase down the porch steps. The wheels cracked when it hit the bottom. My mother didn't even look me in the eye, just stood behind him with her arms folded like I'd brought shame into their perfect little world. And maybe I had, because 5 minutes earlier, I told them I'd lost my job, and that I was pregnant. I didn't beg. I didn't scream. I didn't even flinch when the door slammed behind me. I just picked up my broken suitcase with shaking hands, wrapped my coat around my stomach, and walked into the cold. Let me back up, but just a little, not too far. I was 26, living back home. Not ideal, I know. But I was working full-time as a junior design assistant at a firm downtown, saving up for my own place, trying to make something of myself. I didn't party, didn't ask for handouts. I paid rent, cooked dinner 3 nights a week, even mowed the lawn when Dad's back started giving out. But none of it ever seemed to matter to them. I was still the one who never figured it out. My brother? Gold-plated. My parents praised the ground he walked on. Me? I was tolerated. Barely. When I found out I was pregnant, I already knew how that conversation would go. What I didn't expect was to lose my job the same week. Corporate layoffs. Department restructuring. Whatever excuse they gave, it didn't matter. I was out. No income. No backup plan. And still, I thought maybe, just maybe, my parents would soften. That hearing I was going to have a baby would bring something human out of them. But no. It brought rage. Whose is it? My father barked. What kind of idiot gets knocked up when she can't even hold a job? My mother added. And then came the shouting. The insults. The part where they said they were done cleaning up after me, when they never cleaned up a damn thing in the first place. Then the suitcase. Then the door. And then silence. I walked for blocks that night. No money. No plan. Just one tiny, fluttering thought. You're not alone anymore. I found a 24-hour laundromat and slept there for a few hours. The hum of the dryers was the only sound that didn't make me feel like I was disappearing. I didn't cry. Not until I woke up at sunrise and felt my baby kick for the first time. Right then, I swore to myself. They threw me out, but I'm going to give this child everything they never gave me. I just didn't know what it would take to keep that promise. But I was ready to find out. I wish I could say someone came along and rescued me. That there was some kind stranger, a miracle check, a lucky break. But that's not how it happened. I built everything from nothing. The morning after they kicked me out, I walked until my legs gave out. I ended up in a women's shelter, one of those places with paper-thin blankets, crying babies, and bunk beds that smelled like bleach. I didn't tell anyone I was pregnant at first. I was scared they'd turn me away. But when I finally did, something changed. One of the volunteers, an older woman named Denise, looked me in the eye and said, "If you fight for this child, this world will not break you. But you have to fight hard." I started working at a diner the next week. The pay was awful. The hours were brutal. But I smiled at every customer, wiped every counter, and stashed every dollar like it was gold. By the time I was 7 months pregnant, I had 2 jobs. One at the diner. Another at a motel front desk on weekends. I didn't sleep much. I barely ate. But my baby was healthy. I made sure of that. I remember sitting on a bus one night, my feet swollen, my back on fire, watching people laugh on their phones, and I thought, they have no idea what it takes just to survive like this. Still, I didn't stop. Because every kick from my son reminded me that I wasn't doing it just for me anymore. I was building a world where no one would ever make him feel like he was a burden. Noah was born in a clinic that let me pay on a sliding scale. I had nothing but a thrift store diaper bag and a secondhand car seat. But when I held him for the first time, none of that mattered. He looked at me, tiny, warm, wrinkled, and suddenly I wasn't tired anymore. I wasn't scared. I wasn't broken. I was a mother. I named him Noah because that's what he was to me, a new beginning after a flood that nearly drowned me. We moved from the shelter into a basement room I rented from an old couple who barely spoke English. It was damp, but it had a door, a lock, a window that let in just enough light. That was all we needed. Years passed, And slowly, we climbed. I started freelancing at night, after Noah went to sleep. Graphic design jobs, layout gigs, anything I could do on a secondhand laptop. I took free online courses, watched tutorials, taught myself everything I could. One day, a small local agency gave me a chance. Just one project. I poured my entire soul into it. They loved it. From there, I climbed faster. One client turned into 3. 3 turned into 10. I stopped working for others and started my own firm. Took every penny I had, registered my business, and hired one assistant. Her name was Margot. She believed in me before I even had a business card. And today, I run one of the fastest-growing design studios in the entire state. We got clients across the country. My office has floor-to-ceiling windows. My son? He goes to one of the best private schools in the city. And me? I'm no longer that scared, pregnant girl carrying a cracked suitcase on a freezing night. I'm the woman who survived. I'm the woman who rebuilt. And just when I thought the past was finally behind me, it knocked on my door. Literally. Because last Friday I opened it, and standing on my front porch were the 2 people I thought I'd never see again. My parents. And the look on their faces? They weren't angry anymore. They were desperate. When I opened the door and saw them standing there, I didn't say a word. My father's hair had gone completely gray. His posture wasn't proud anymore. He looked like someone had taken a hammer to his spine. My mother's face was pale and tired, her makeup smeared like she'd been crying for hours. They looked nothing like the people who'd thrown me out a decade ago. For a second, I wondered if they even recognized me. I didn't step outside. I didn't invite them in. I just stood there, holding the doorframe, and waited. My mother was the first to speak. "Hi," she said softly. "You look good." I didn't reply. Then my father cleared his throat. We didn't know where else to go. I stared at them. "After 10 years. Now you come to my house." He nodded, slow. "We're not proud of it." I crossed my arms. "Are you proud of anything you did back then?" My mother's lip trembled. "Avery, we're sorry. We've made mistakes. But your brother, he moved away. The business failed. The house, that's gone. We're living in a motel off the freeway." I should have felt something. I should have felt something. But I didn't. Because where was this sorrow when I was sleeping in a shelter, pregnant and alone? Where was this regret when I was eating off-dollar menus just to feed Noah? "I have a son," I said flatly. "He's 10. He's smart, kind, and everything I needed when you made me feel like I was nothing." My mother wiped her face. "We want to meet him. We want to make things right." "No," I said. "Please," my father croaked. "We're not asking for money. Just time." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was pathetic. You had time. You had years. You had every chance. You threw me away like garbage. And now you want to act like family? My voice didn't rise, but it got sharper. Family isn't blood. It's who stands with you when you're falling apart. And the only person who did that for me was me. They both looked like they'd been slapped. I wanted to slam the door right then. But something inside me needed them to understand one thing clearly. So I stepped forward, just enough for them to see the life behind me, the neat house, the family photos, the signs of a life built from ashes. "I don't hate you," I said. "But I don't trust you. And you don't get to meet Noah just because you suddenly feel bad." They didn't argue. They just stood there, broken, as I quietly said the words they once said to me. "I think it's time for you to leave." Then I shut the door. And locked it. And walked away without looking back. I thought it was over. After that night, after I shut the door on them, I honestly believed they'd leave. That maybe, finally, they got the message. But 2 days later, I got a call from Noah's school. It was his homeroom teacher, Mrs. Klein, sweet woman, patient, the kind of teacher who leaves handwritten notes on report cards. "Hi, Ms. Grant," she said gently. "I wanted to check in with you about something." I wasn't sure if these individuals were authorized. My stomach dropped. "What happened?" I asked. "Well, an older couple showed up in the front office this morning. They said they were Noah's grandparents. They asked if they could see him, just for a moment. We told them it wasn't allowed without your permission. I sat there frozen, gripping the steering wheel in the parking lot of my office. They didn't speak to him, right? I asked, my voice shaking now.
No.
The receptionist kept them at the desk. But we thought you should know. I thanked her and hung up. And then I sat there for 10 whole minutes, trying not to cry, trying not to scream, trying to decide if I was more furious or terrified. They didn't just cross a line. They bulldozed over it, going to my child's school, without telling me. After a decade of silence and cruelty, that wasn't regret. That was manipulation. That night I didn't tell Noah. I couldn't. Not yet. He was lying on the floor, building some weird spaceship thing out of Legos, tongue poking out of the side of his mouth.
Happy.
Safe. I wasn't going to bring fear into his world. Not when I'd worked this hard to build it for him.
But inside me?
A storm was brewing. I called a lawyer the next morning. Told her everything. She listened. Then said, "You have every right to protect your son. We can file a restraining order. Emergency if needed." I nodded slowly. Do it. Because this wasn't just about old trauma anymore. This was about boundaries. This was about Noah. They could cry. They could beg. They could tell everyone I was cruel, unforgiving, cold. I didn't care. Because the second they went near my son without my permission, they stopped being people from my past and became a threat to my present. I didn't hear from them for a few more days, until the letter arrived. Handwritten.
Shaky.
Pages folded like they'd been carried in someone's pocket for too long. It was from my father. "I know we can't fix what we broke, but you're the only good thing we ever did, Avery.
And we see that now.
We didn't deserve your forgiveness. We still don't. But we just wanted to say we're proud of you. We were wrong. About everything. We won't bother you anymore. We promise." I read it twice. And then I folded it, placed it in a drawer. Not because I forgave them.
Not yet.
But because for the first time it didn't feel like a guilt trip. It felt like surrender. And maybe that's what I needed to hear. Not begging. Not excuses. Just an honest admission. That they'd lost me. And it was their own fault. Weeks passed. No more calls. No more surprise visits. Nothing. It was like they vanished again, but this time for good. And I thought, maybe that's how it ends. No dramatic showdown, no final apology. Just silence. But life has a strange way of folding in on itself when you least expect it. Because one morning, I got a message from the director of the local outreach center, a place I'd quietly been donating to every month for years. They were hosting a winter clothing drive. She wanted to know if I could swing by for an hour to help organize drop-offs. I said yes. I took Noah with me. It was a Saturday. He was bundled in a red hoodie, cracking jokes in the back seat the whole way there. I remember thinking, this is the life I built. Full of warmth, safety, purpose. We walked inside, smiling, carrying bags of jackets and scarves. And then, I saw them. My parents. They were sitting on a bench in the waiting area, holding hands, staring at the floor like they were trying to disappear into it. They didn't see me at first. They didn't see him. But I froze. So did Noah. He looked up at me and tilted his head. "Mom," I swallowed hard. "Those are my parents," I whispered. His eyes widened. "Really?" I nodded. "Do you want to say anything?" He thought about it, then shook his head.
No.
"I'm okay." I smiled. That was the moment I realized. He didn't need anything from them. Not their love. Not their recognition. Not their approval. Because he already had mine. And I had his. We walked right past them. But as we did, my mother looked up. Her eyes locked on Noah. She didn't say a word. Didn't call out. Didn't reach for me. She just stared, and I'll never forget her expression. It wasn't hope. It wasn't anger. It was regret. Deep, unbearable, bone-deep regret. And that was enough for me. We spent the next 2 hours sorting jackets and chatting with volunteers. Noah made everyone laugh. He handed out juice boxes. He even found a coat that perfectly fit one little boy and said, "You look awesome, man." And the whole time, I felt something shift in my chest. Not forgiveness,
But peace.
when we got home that evening, Noah pulled me into a hug. Thanks for taking me today. It was fun. I looked at him. My son. My heart. My reason. And I whispered, thank you. You're the best thing that ever happened to me.
And I meant it.
Not a day goes by that I don't remember where we came from. The nights I cried alone. The days I felt like giving up. The way the people who were supposed to love me made me feel worthless. But I also remember how I rose. How I became everything they said I couldn't be. And now, I don't need revenge. I don't need apologies. Because I already won. I built a life out of broken pieces. And the door they slammed on me 10 years ago, I walked through it anyway. And I never looked back.